for VOD purposes, I'll start off in my normal sense. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Premier League presentation. I'm Blaze, bringing you guys a game between TeamLiquid and Absolute Legends. This is going to be a best of 3 series. This is only game 1, so I'm pretty sure they got a lot in store for us, and I'm curious to see what exactly that's going to be. Starting things off, we do see that the Gyrocopter and the Batrider have been banned out. They just don't want to deal with Liquid's flexibility with that gyro. So versatile, so many ways you can run that guy, and TeamLiquid could run it on multiple different things, but I'm kind of messing up the teams here. So getting back on the right track, Gyrocopter just values that pick extremely, and since they don't intend to first pick it, since they don't intend to run it for themselves, they're going to pick up the Keeper Light instead and make sure AL doesn't have that flexibility. AL doesn't have that potential to just devastate with that hero, potentially. Anywho. Now, as we see, there is the Nyx Assassin and the Wisp banned out as well, so those are the primary kind of disabling, initiating supports that are very gank-oriented and very high aggression. There's plenty of them on the board, but those are probably the epitome of that mindset there, so we'll have to see. Okay. But, yeah, as we can see, they're just going to proceed on through and kind of tap into their reserve time a little bit. Want to make sure they're making the right decision, moving on forward. But they go with the Rubik to start things off. It's pretty interesting. I think Team Luke is going to counterpick pretty quickly with a Shadow Demon, for starters. Smike just loves to run that SD, and it can work really well with the Keeper Light. They could actually kind of run a very effective, as much as people hate to see it, a Phantom Lancer Keeper Light Shadow Demon Tri-Lane. So powerful, so relentless, and can really give them a start that they want in this game. But to start things off, Bulba's going to pick up that Clockwork on the off lane. They're like, okay, well, we'll go with what we know works. Well, if we can control the positioning, if we can stay mobile and stay active, we can accomplish quite a bit. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I think it's going to be a fun opportunity for Bulba to really show us what he's got as far as the long-range initiation goes, as well as just trying to survive up on that offlane, because Rubik and Lifestealer are pretty difficult to go up against. The open wounds, the telekinesis, so on and so forth, but the cogs are very powerful indeed. And right now, they're actually going to pick up the Magnus. So they have 2 forms of disables that perfectly counteract the Lifestealer. Jumping on in with the hook shot onto the Lifestealer and then putting him in the cogs forces him to attack Clockwork and Clockwork only. From there, he can look at item purchases such as a Blade Mail or a Ghost Scepter, and just make sure that he's not going to have to worry about Dosidone with that guy kind of in a cage match setting. Not going to worry about that at all. Along with that, the Magnus has that reverse polarity. That's a pretty extensive lockdown as well, if the ultimate lands true. So we'll see how that works out, but in turn, Absolute Legends going to be picking up the Queen of Pain. So it's going to be pretty interesting. They're going to be very mobile and active. Queen of Pain versus Magnus on the mid. You're generally going to be looking at an advantage towards the Quap for rune control and for last hits. But that doesn't mean that Magnus is going to get shut down. And occasionally he can get a pick off if he does get a really well-timed skewer. Maybe the supports cover up a nice invis rune for him or something. Either way, the important thing is Magnus will be able to get levels. He won't be 100% locked down from the lane. And from there he will be able to get in better ranks of reverse polarity. Eventually move in towards that Blink Dagger. Alright, so double checking. I want to make sure that I'm not having any issues with the stream itself. It looks like everything is going good. I'm not dropping too many frames or anything, so I just want to be clear before we move on forward that there's no technical issues. Alright, so what we're seeing here is the Nature's Prophet and the Bounty Hunter taken off the board, so those offlane options for Absolute Legends are really limited comparatively. I mean, they could run the Queen of Pain in the offlane. Technically, Rubik could even go for the mid instead, but probably just going to run the support, as he's just generally more effective that way. But yeah, Team Liquid knows they have their Clockwork offlane, says, okay, well, if you don't have any of that role, we have ours set, we're going to take it off. So that's Nature's Prophet, Bounty Hunter, and Windrunner, great offlaners, so they're just not going to be an option here. Along with that, Team Liquid banning out Korok's Puck, and the Storm Spirit. I'm not sure if that was necessary, because Clockwork and Magnus generally run solo lanes, so you wouldn't generally see another solo mid pickup or anything like that. But we have seen Magnus go in the offlane occasionally, and with a Keeper Light to support, it's something that they could viably do. So, interesting enough, Sand King picked up by Absolute Legends. I love this hero. It has a lot of potential. I'm just curious to see how effective it will be. Presumably, it's to go up against the Clockwork to try to get it in those cogs. The Burrow Strike radius range should be sufficient at least rank 2, if not rank 1, to jump on in and stun past the cogs, get on in there and down and dirty with the Clockwork. Really good way to kind of lock him down and make sure that he's not as escapable as he generally would prefer to be. But Team Liquid really controlling the late game here with these picks. Faceless Void, Magnus, a really powerful late game. Even Keep the Light with his recall and blinding light scales very well. So Team Liquid, as long as they can manage the laning phase relatively well, and as long as they don't feed the lifestealer immensely, generally speaking, they're going to have the upper hand when we start hitting that 40-minute mark in the game. So I'm curious to see if it'll even make it that far, but for right now, Team Liquid starting things off, presumably going to put TC on that Faces Void to hard carry it up. From there, Korok could probably play the Magnus, Bulba on that Clockwork, and Keeper Light would be picked up in that case by either IX Mike or Fluff. So the final here to come on out. Curious to see what it will be. No Shadow Demon ban just yet, so that's a pretty common combo, but they're actually going to go with Jakiro. And Jakiro is one of those great heroes that if you can land stuns consistently, that he deals so much damage and has so much disable with a lot of range and a short cooldown, and I think that's what Team Liquid's going for here, a lot of range specifically. The Clockwork with his rockets, with his hook shot, good presence there. Magnus has the Skewer, he'll up that to a Blink Dagger later on to have 2400 range of initiation, and then you have the Time Walk from Faceless Void, and the Illuminate has a pretty good radius itself, so I definitely think they want to make sure they can put pressure on heroes even if they're at a distance. They want to be able to chase people down, even the Queen of Pain with her Blink, and I think that's very viable with this current lineup they've drafted up here. So it'll be pretty interesting. Alrighty then, so looking at things here, the Sand King will most likely be laning top with Rubik and Lifesteal, the Queen of Pain on the mid or bottom lane, and from there Absolute Legends has to figure out exactly what kind of solo they want to draft up, because their options, like I said, aren't that substantial. One thing to note, Darkseer is still on the board. I'm actually just now noticed that, and that's amazing it hasn't been picked up at all. I think that's a no-brainer for Absolute Legends if they catch it, because most people don't even think about it because he is generally banned really quickly or picked up just as fast. But here, Absolute Legends has that option. Pick up an off-lane Darkseer, vacuum them into an Burrow Strike Epicenter combo. It can be so devastating, and that could really put them on the front end of a team fight. I definitely think that's 100% a best pick possible, and we'll have to see if Absolute Legends agrees. But yeah, if they were able to get kind of that wombo combo teamfight, vacuum into the wall, have Queen of Pain's ultimate, the Sonic Wave, plus her Scream, Fade Bolt on top of that, maybe something like a Stolen Polarity or Macropyre or even Illuminate, adding in more AoE magic damage, and they are going to pick it up. So I'm really excited to see AL's teamfight. They have so much potential, they just have to initiate it appropriately. To start things off, we do see that Unicorn is going to be carrying up on that Lifestealer Miggle, is going to be on the Queen of Pain, Miracle on the Sand King, and Mania going to be running that Darkseer on the offlane, presumably. Mania has run a lot of jungle individuals previously, so that might just mean the Darkseer is going to ignore the bottom lane entirely, knows he doesn't want to go up against a Jakiro Keeper Light, and will respond kind of with that mindset there. But Rise is definitely going to pick up that Rubik and support up Unicorn effectively. So we'll see where the Darkseer ends up going, if they're going to go for 3.510, or if they're going to try to go out and contest that bottom lane. Either way here, Team Liquid's lanes are 100% clear, with TC on the Magnus, Korok picking up the Faceless Void this time around. Again, those guys are so flexible. They switch out their players all the time as far as that 1, 2, and 3 role. Bulba has been pretty consistent on the off lane recently, but Korok and TC, you never know. You'd really never know. Anyways, switching on over. It looks like everything's good over here too. Excellent. Yeah, just first day of the week. I want to make sure I'm not getting off on the bad foot of having some random technical error halfway through the cast here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We do definitely appreciate you guys jumping on into it. For those that are affected by daylight savings time, sorry it was a little bit confusing. It was actually a little bit perplexing for myself as well, but getting into the rhythm of things. As far as I understand it, Europe will be changing their daylight savings time in the end of March, but right now we're a little bit ahead of things in that regard. Either way, we have this awesome best of 3 for you guys here, and it looks like Mania is gonna want to go on the off lane here. Has the Soul Ring ready, raring to go. He just needs to pick up that 675 gold worth of items to start things off. Now what we see here is they have pulled him quite a bit of regen. Rise handing out the Tangos, Miracle handing out the Salve. They really want Mania to make this lane work, and we'll see exactly how viable an option that is. From there, Sand King, Unicorn, and Rise up on top. Pretty common stuff. Miracle, I gotta say, is one of the better AoE initiators. He's not going to be picking up the mid lane here. Miggle is instead playing that Queen of Pain, but Miracle is one of those guys who can just, think about things in circles and lines, find opportunities where you can initiate, pull people together, split people up. Just make sure that your initiation is as effective as possible. So I think it's a good fit for him, even if he generally doesn't play the support as commonly. Either way, we do see Rise picking up that illusion. May use that to just do a little bit more zoning harassment here, but Bulba doing his little trick, blocking off a couple of creeps here and there. So one guy will be heading up a little bit ahead of the action, and I gotta say, as with all creeps, his fate is pretty much set in stone here, but it's just gonna allow the lane to push out a different manner, because this creep will be killed immediately, and from there it's very difficult to deny it so that the lane doesn't push out when it's a 4v3 situation amongst these creeps. But either way, we see here that Fluff is starting off with getting a couple of sentry wards off, making sure he can control that position. And that gives good understanding of Rise and Miracle's positioning moving on in. They're going to go for a flank here, but the Radiant Vision actually did get some detection on that, so Clockwork, Bulba, very aware of what's going on there, and I think they're just kind of wasting their time. That is a valuable time that they don't want to be losing, because the one reason that Sand King is less and less played in this current competitive meta is the fact that he requires a decent bit of experience to get going. His Burrow Strike range at this rank, minimal to none. It's very limited and very frustrating if you can't get to that level 3, that level 5, because you just can't get in for those big stuns. Screw a double Burrow Strike, it's hard to get a single one a lot of the time. And yeah, that's going to be a frustrating thing to deal with here. Nice move by Mania. I think this is going to net him most likely at least 1 CS, if not 2. And that's going to be pretty effective at trying to move him in towards that Soul Ring, which will allow him to just keep on doing that non-stop. So that's going to be very nice for him. In the meantime, as far as experience per minute, the offlaners aren't being denied all that much. Darkseer is only at 115, but Bulba's not doing too much hotter at 120 now. He just jumped up. But comparing that to the supports, Rise and Miracle, the way they've been roaming around, they've seen not a single creep die thus far. And instead, we're just seeing plenty of good stacking action coming on through. And actually a flank down on bottom. Mania has rank 1 Surge. He's going to have to use it here most likely. The question is the timing. And they go for just an Illuminate Ice Path to harass him back down to half HP. He does have plenty available, once again, 2 tangos, 1 salve stored up there, so he'll be alright in the long term. So we do see the opportunity for Faceless Void to free farm quite effectively. Looking back at the last hits, we see that Korok is sitting at 12 himself, but Unicorn actually topping out the charts with 14, and he's going to keep that going. It's mostly the fact that the Darkseer contests creeps a little bit more actively than the Clockwork does. With those Ion Shells, it pushes you under the tower more frequently, and it's harder to get every single last hit under tower. These guys are very well versed as far as last hitting and that kind of thing. I mean, that's just very mechanical in nature to them. But still, it's not going to be always possible to get every single thing that you want here. And that's going to, unfortunately, put him a little bit behind as far as getting up early items, such as a Midas or Battle Fairy. Now we do see Clockwork ganked on in. The Burrow Strike goes right on through those cogs. Telekinesis pulling Bulba to the north here, and this could be a lot of damage coming on in. The question is it enough? Oh, it is. Barely. Good timing by Unicorn, getting the last hit, getting the first blood, and look at this creep wave. They're going to follow it up with a lot of damage on this tower. At least bring it down 10%. And that's a really good start for them. Getting the first blood, getting Unicorn some big items, he's going to have that Midas. Not so sure about what the Korok's going to be opting for. Looks like it is going to be long-term a Battle Fury through that Ring of Health, but it's just really nice. Now we do see this action on Mania. Will it be enough damage, though? With the Surge, nice body block from Korok. The Bash comes out. Looks out with that, I think, 15% Bash? Yeah, gets a 15% Bash, setting up that kill. Very fortunate for them, and answering back with a kill on the board. Now, in the mid lane, TC not having as great of a time with things. He's going back and forth with Miggle here. But as far as last hits, although he's okay in that circumstance, you can see his HP, see his mana. He needs this 4-minute rune. Speaking of, haste on bottom, Fluff covering it up. But instead, Jakira's just going to pick it up. Leave TC to Bottle Crow. And in the meantime, Miracle is flanking to gank up on Bulba here. Unicorn goes instead for phases. Interesting play here. They know that they cannot take it late game. They want to go for a mid-game team fight. So they're going to go most likely a phase drum build to set Unicorn up for a lot of movement speed and attack speed. Stay on target, stay with high DPS output, and make sure that he can really put some pressure on this Faceless Void early. Speaking of pressure, Mania getting forced back here, but unfortunately for him, doesn't get bashed on out this time. Just takes a few Illuminate hits and falls back from there. TC, bottle, salve going on up there, but speaking of action up on the top lane, Boba getting a lot of damage coming on through, and with this telekinesis, it should be his death here. He does have a salve, but it's just not going to be enough. Too many right clicks. Lifestealer picking up his second kill, and that's really, really nice for him. Let's check GPMs. 426. Unfortunately, Sand King didn't get much credit there, but at least he's up to level 3, which will get him off to a good start. We see here Unicorn, yeah, just farming up, maybe do a little bit of push pressure on the tower. Again, they don't want to force the issue on this too far. Rank 2 rockets is not enough to counter push here, but it looks like they're happy with Unicorn just farming away for the moment. As long as they make sure that the pressure starts coming out on Korok by the time he gets his Battle Fury. If they give him like 5 minutes free farm with a Battle Fury up, he's going to completely outpace and outclass the enemy carry no matter how many kills he's picked up. And so that's really a kind of a situation where as long as they know the timing, as long as they know when they really want to turn things around and put pressure the other way, I think they'll be able to come out into a good, powerful mid game. And then, it's really, like I said before, it comes down to initiation from there, which both teams have in spades. The Darkseer's vacuum potential is immense, but right now, being shut down so much on experience, it's kind of a limiting factor. He really, really wants to move in towards that rank 3 vacuum, and at least a rank, if not 2. And on top of that, the Sand King needs to be moving in at least a rank 1 Epi and a maxed out Burrow. Will really, really help him out in those engagements. But that's pretty much all that we're looking at there. The RP is already up for Magnus. The Clockwork Hook should be coming out pretty soon. And from there, they have their initiation. It just depends on their skill set, how effective it will be. Megal does have that Invis Rune bottled up, but he doesn't seem to have any intent of using it anytime soon. Maybe in the next minute and a half or so. Might try to put some pressure out, but needs to really, really have some good simultaneous action with his supports. We do see coming on in that there is the Sand King and the Rubik raring to go here, but that Magnus does have enough for his skewer. Now falling back, trying to get a good opportunity to check out actually bottom and see what's going on there. Now we do see that Mania was forced back for the moment out of the jungle. He's got his salve, he's got his soul ring, but until he gets a little bit more than that, he's going to have a rough time of things. Megal getting flanked on in, again coming on in, looking for that burrow. The scream comes out to start things off. They get the slow, and yeah, Miracle should be able to easily burrow this to finish him off. Fluff getting it finished off. IX Mike doesn't get the opportunity to get that deny. So that means that, of course, that's yet another kill, adding to their pressure and increasing their experience gain comparatively. Very, very nice action there, and every moment that you don't have a support down on bottom lane, Korok is going to be a little bit more uncertain about his farming position, because it is nighttime, you have less understanding of what's going on, and right now, the Radiant wards are absolutely non-existent. They don't have coverage of the movement of the enemy heroes, and from there, Korok is going to be relying on his Chronosphere to make sure that he's going to be in an okay position. Now we do see Ix Mike kind of running into trouble here. Miracle looking for that range in the Burrow Strike. He finds it. Ix Mike in a bad spot right here with the Iron Chill and Surge. That might be enough to finish him off. Yeah, Ix Mike in a bad spot. Nice Ice Path though. The Vacuum not enough to pull him back in. Fluff slowing down Miracle. The Burrow Strike will be up in 2 seconds, but he's such low life right here. Going in very ballsy, and he's got to really set things up. But TC with that skewer, going to get enough damage in to finish off the SK and turning things around very, very nicely for them. Good reaction, good movement. Korok looking for an opportunity here. Goes for the steal and the regeneration rune. And finds himself amongst 3 individuals and has to look for a chrono if he's... No, they know that the supports are coming on in. So Korok doesn't even want to commit to that. He just says, okay, well, let's try to snipe a rune. I guess it's a really, really good pick from Queen of Pain. Megal now out of mana. Will have to bottle crow or, unfortunately, head back to base because that is a really, really clutch rune for him at the 8-minute mark there. So, interesting, aggressive play by Korok. He did have that chrono if they did try to contest him there. But in the end, although he misses out on a few last hits here, he does a little bit dissuade Megal from being as active as he has been thus far. Up on the top lane here, we do see Clockwork putting out that pressure there, and Unicorn still getting plenty of last hits, but if Bulba can just keep his experience rolling. It's actually an interesting build here, going for a couple in BA. Actually, bottom lane, Chronosphere popped off on Mania. He's going to get dropped. Easy, easy damage coming on through. Ix Mike finishing it off. Fluff does drop pretty slow. Unicorn wants to finish him off. Can just go for an invest right here to finish it, but goes for the rage. Right clicks, no problem at all. Not going for Korok. There is one backtrack. He's going to have to luck out pretty hardcore if he's going to survive. The last right click from Unicorn, but he does time walk away from that devastating infest damage. So the infest doesn't even come on through. Unicorn just trying to force Korok back. Really would have loved a carry-on-carry kill. I mean, that would have been essentially shutting down Liquid's early game and just completely denying the last dozen last hits Korok's picked up. Speaking of, Unicorn going in aggressive here, getting baited a little bit. Fluff denying him on out. They don't have the Illuminate firing just yet, but he's still, one thing to note, is Unicorn has plenty of HP regen. Sitting now, he has a full Infest available, he has the Helm of Iron Will, and he's really, really confident in his positioning, even if he's by himself. So that's one thing you generally can't say for a carry early on, but Lifestealer's one of those guys that you get the max rage, and you can play a little bit more off the cuff.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Alright, so boots have been picked up for Darkseer. I'm curious to see if he'll move in towards that mechanism anytime soon. Looking at items in general, Jakiro picking up a Robe of the Magi right now. It's a little awkward. Oh, we do see Skewer, and they commit the RP. Unicorn does have that Infest. Nice vacuum to hold him off. Bash comes on through, but he can walk away. That RP kind of wasted here, as they didn't really commit that many right clicks to him. So they got in a few hits here and there, but Lifestealer very, very beefy and didn't even take but a third of his health. Now getting salved up to full just in case. And from there, that's a big cooldown. The RP down for 100. And that's one big teamfight utility, not going to work out for them. Miracle going on through the cogs to put some pressure on Boba, but that rank 3 battery assault doing quite a bit of damage for anybody that gets too close. So he's going for a more gank-oriented build. Doesn't have as much cooldown, has a bit of a longer cooldown on the rocket flare, so less vision provided there. But in general, if he wants to go for solo pickoffs and things along those lines, it's definitely going to be the maximum damage output from that BA skilling. Unicorn having kind of the run-of-mill down here, just kind of right-clicking on down through the jungle, using the Feast rank 3 to make sure that he is always going to be at a stable level and not really be threatened, even if he does get scouted down out. By the way, this Observer Ward has been put up on the Turtle Ward spawn, but it will only give vision to about this point. I was curious what was all the noise and all the ruckus here, but Unicorn hears it too. Comes on through to try to snipe in a couple creeps. Man, he is so ballsy right now. Mania and Unicorn together are very, very confident in themselves in this position, despite the fact that all of TL effectively could be TPing in any time. Pops off the Infest, trying to do some AoE damage here. That's been a lot of stacks intended for the Keeper Light, and now they're going to just farm it up with some Ion Shell action. Good movement from Unicorn and from Mania, and as soon as the second Ion Shell comes out, this guarantees this entire set of creeps here. So this is going to be very, very nice for them. And tons of farm for both of them. Fade Bolt's and stuff, but now here comes the initiation. Getting the Ice Path, no. It does miss out. Bulba looking for a hook shot, but instead gets focused down by Unicorn. Trapping him in the cogs, walking away from here, but here comes Miracle with a nice burrow. Not level 6 yet, but Korok pops off. That double chrono, putting them both on in, and Bulba gets Fade Bolted down, but Unicorn and Miracle will also pay the price. Getting finished off with that last right click, no burrow strike coming on through, and that is going to be a 2-for-1 in the end. We do see Queen of Pain with that haste, but not using it just yet. So, well, she used it, but not really to a great offensive effect. Either way, though, that was some solid movement from both teams, but I gotta say that, of course, taking 2 kills for 1 and picking off that carry, the Unicorn, this early on, definitely puts Liquid on the right foot, moving back on through. They were at a bit of a disadvantage, but they are seeing it at least equal out in experience and kind of come back in their direction as far as gold. As far as items towards that Battle Fury, he is about 1,000 away. And he does have Boots of Speed, so he will be not, just hobbling on through the battlefield. He will have a little bit of mobility to himself, but we'll have to see how that goes from there. Miguel stocking up on TC, but again, this Observer Ward being instrumental in kind of understanding exactly what is going on from Absolute Legends in their aggressive possession here. Back up top, Bulba versus Miracle. We've seen this a couple times already throughout the game, but right now, Clockwork with that rank 4 battery can always put pressure on Miracle. I mean, he's going to be able to escape with Burrow, but at the cost of a decent chunk of HP. Unicorn, oh my gosh, like this is definitely one way to play a Lifestealer, knowing all your escape utilities and just willing to commit to them. But between Unicorn and Mania, they are just always in such a dangerous spot, but they aren't really suffering the consequences. They have enough mobility that the only situation where they put themselves a little bit too far was when Korok had that chrono. Speaking of, up in 23 seconds, that could be used very effectively to try to actually pick somebody off here. Alright, Urn of Shadows up on Rise, so he's going to be more gank-oriented, generally speaking. Looking for a big spell steal here to try to put some pressure out. As far as different good options, we already know about that Reverse Polarity. Actually, Miguel and Miracle committing to a big kill here. He does get the cogs, but, Burrow Strike blink on in and committing the Queen of Pain's ultimate to burn him down immediately. Nice movement there, and just a little bit of overextension from Boba. Didn't think that they'd commit that much to hunting him on down, but, you know, you stop him in his tracks, and he's not going to be moving in towards those big, long-range hook shots. TC gets his Blink Dagger, but it's in stash for right now, and Rise actually finds an opportunity to go put pressure on him, looking for a steal. They actually they telekinesis the skewer. He's going nowhere fast. Lifestealer finishing it off with the invest, and they steal the skewer themselves. So Rise could use that to pretty good effect here, to at least use the slowing mechanic, if not a little bit of positioning control. Unicorn finding an opportunity, but the open wounds rank 1 does take a while. Mania at his back, though. This should be an easy pickings. Raging on out of the blinding light, and the Iron Shield to do a little bit more damage on top of that. And Rubik for the chaos. Whatever. Anyways, 95 damage on this tower. Last right click will actually go to Clockwork. Nice deny coming on through. Inside the cogs. Miguel taking too much damage from the combo of Jakiro. Now Boba in pursuit. He's getting enough mana for hookshot. Looking for it. Miracle has that burrow. He will use it defensively, but the hookshot will follow immediately after. Or just use it right now. He feels confident enough. No, Miracle times it differently. Yeah, Boba pops off a little too early, but the rocket to clean it up. Nice movement from him. At rank 3 was just barely sufficient. I honestly don't think a rank 2 would have cut it, but it's hard to calculate those things on the fly. Either way, Boba, confident in his long-range damage, used the hookshot to great effect and picked up the kill for himself. Nice move there. Got the deny up on the top tower as well, so very, very nice. They're going to lose this bottom one here, however, and that in general does put more gold on the board for Absolute Legends. It's not as much as they could have gotten, but it is still plenty of farm nonetheless. And we see this Observer Ward in the enemy jungle, checking out Dire Vision. They have full understanding of all three, but they also know that they're kind of leaving Korok. Oh gosh, they know something's fishy here. They have this Observer Ward in the lane. They see everybody going into his west, and he's not taking any chances. Poor Satyr Tormentor kind of tormented himself, leaving him alone with just a little bit of HP. Cleaned up in the end, put out of his misery by Unicorn. Alrighty then, so both teams looking for a good engage. Chrono, Macroplier, and the Reverse Polarity are available here, and I'm curious to see how it plays on out. But the big target here has got to be Rise. Rise is in a position, even with this little skewer, to put himself in a good position. He can get a really powerful steal. The Chrono doesn't affect the Faceless Void, but the RP can be stolen, and a Rubik Polarity can be devastating when used in the right manner. Now Rise jumping on in, trying to get the Telekinesis, doesn't get it in time though. And of course TC is available there with an invisibility as well as his blink for the polarity there to kind of counter initiate on that. However, TC really wants to hit level 11. He wants to just see a little bit of experience, see a couple creeps die here, and if he can hit that rank 2 RP, that's going to be amazing for them to finish things off here. And it looks like I don't think that's going to be enough. So he does barely 3 HP. I'm sorry, 3 experience is all he's sitting on. But he is able to get that rank 2 ultimate, and from there, looking for an opportunity to use it, that's for sure. Going on into the jungle, they are smoked up now, switching one invisibility over for another, and they're going to find out Unicorn right here. He does have an armlet, plenty of HP, but Bulba acting as bait, committing the RP. He doesn't even have the, he does have the armlet on, but the Chrono to follow up on Mania and Unicorn. This is going to be 2 kills for them. Nice action. Mania going to surge away, but it's too much damage. He gets bashed even. Korok finishing it off for a double kill. Really, really perfect Chrono. Catches them both 100% on the edge. All of his allies were outside, able to do the damage. Keeper Light charging that Illuminate, and just perfect pickoff. Another example of a little bit of over-aggression between Mania and Unicorn, and Liquid has kind of gotten used to that now. Going to be able to use it effectively. Rise does steal Chrono, but again, it won't affect that Faceless Void. They have to telekinesis for the kill here, and they do commit the ultimate. Miggle's Sonic Wave is not backtracked, and it does give him enough money for that Orchid Malevolence. So silencing up a Magnus or a Faceless Void will be setting them up nicely to make sure that they cannot be disabled, as they have been kind of torn apart in their team fights over and over and over again. Looking for more item pickups. Keeper Light, IX Mike heading in towards that mechanism, and he is actually going to be about 800 gold away. Now we do see Illusions kind of duking it out. Orchid committed to him. That's a little silly, but beyond that, looks like just Fluff is still sitting on that Robe of the Magi. I'm not sure what that's about. He wasn't for treads. It's just for that base intellect. Apparently he really feels that it's that valuable to make sure he can commit his spells over and over and over again. Either way, I can't complain about the pickup. It's just a little odd having it casually sitting there. Either way, the more important thing coming on through is the Treads and Battle Fury picked up by Korok. He has that. He's raring to go. And although he's currently sitting at 88 CS, that's going to go up very, very quickly. He's empowered. He has Battle Fury. And that's a lot of cleave damage coming on through. It stacks up additively. And yeah, that's going to allow him to flash farm creep waves, take down stack neutrals, so on and so forth. But you got to watch out. Good wards coming out of Absolute Legends. They have one in the mid lane. They have one approaching the Ancients. They know what Korok's doing, and they're going to be able to respond in kind. They aren't going to actually pressure him off of this one here, but in the future, this could be a very dangerous thing for him. Going up on top, Clockwork ultis going on through. They're going to look for a miracle and finish him off very, very nicely. TC and Bubble together finishing that, but instead they know there's two up top. They know that Korok was farming the Ancients, so they're going to take this opportunity to go for the Roche. They have the Drum of Endurance for some nice attack speed, and they have the mechanism to make sure that everybody is fine and dandy on the HP values. But it seems that the Rocket Flare is heading that direction, and Roche still has over 2k HP left. They're going to try to initiate, but without the Clockwork hookshot, I don't feel that they can get in time. They're looking for it, though. Trying to jump on in. The Ice Pass comes out through. Korok with the... Oh my gosh, he can steal the Aegis. Go for the Aegis, Korok. He does pick it up, and he snatches it and gets a kill. He goes for another one. Oh, they're cleaning up 100%, even the RP, just to make sure of it. Where's Queen of Pain? Getting picked off here. Nice Ice Path again by Fluff. Oh my gosh, that was so insane. AL does get the gold. They do get the experience, but instead... Jakiro with a perfect triple Ice Path, just assuming their positioning would be the same as when they saw on the Rocket. It indeed was. Korok following up with the Chrono, snatching the Aegis, getting a kill, and that Illuminate just charging away, that laser ready to fire, and from there cleaning it up very nicely. TC didn't need to expend that RP whatsoever, but, you know, just to make sure of it. They could switch their focus to Miggle. That's much more rapidly if Unicorn dropped really quickly, and to that extent, it worked out very, very smoothly for them. Aegis on the Faceless Void. Very frustrating for them to deal with here, especially as he's already something they need to prioritize in ganking. But if you're ganking somebody with 2 lives, they can really counter-initiate. Bulbo with that hookshot, and they can just jump in. TeamLiquid, one of the things they're known for is responding to situations very quickly. They're great at teleporting in to the aid of others underneath their towers, and if Korok's in a bad spot, they might not be able to help him enough for him to keep both of his lives, but surely, with that Aegis time period, they can make sure that he won't be dropping down a second time. However, Miggle seems that he doesn't want to let that be a comforting thought for them. Goes in with a Nags Bomb ready to go. The Infest inside the Queen of Pain. Miggle wants to dish out some damage, and with this Orchid, it could easily go for a solo pickoff on any one of the supports, but instead we do see a flank coming on in. Rise, invisible, ready to help out here. What, has he stolen anything? I don't believe so. Died most recently, so... Looks like they're just going to have to fall back from here as there's too much backup from the supports. Once again, in the enemy jungle, just kind of behind enemy lines here, trying to just leech a little bit of the farm that they would be setting themselves up with. And we do see here Miracle getting some gold of his own in his own jungle, kind of doing the stack and pull action, and that's setting him very, very close to his Blink. 100 gold away, and Blink comes out for SK. When he hits level 11, when he gets that Blink Dagger, he's a whole new hero, 100%. What we've been seeing from him thus far is him skilling stats instead of Sandstorm or Caustic to make sure that he's beefy and he can jump in on the action fearlessly. He has lots of strength, lots of intellect to work with. The armor's nice too, I suppose, but it really comes down to the fact that with more stats, he can be that much more aggressive, and he's going to be able to use that Epi Blink in no time at all. Does have that Blink Dagger now available, just needs to farm a little bit more for the rank 2 ulti. Don't think he has time if they want to contest this tier 1 tower, though. It is already gone.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Nothing else really ready just yet. All of the ultimates available for TeamLiquid. They're gonna maybe find an opportunity. Miracle hiding amongst the trees. Great opportunity for an Epi Blink. But we'll have to see whether Absolute Legends catches wind of this first. Lola has the Rocket Flare. They go for the Time Walk. They catch out Miracle here. I'm not sure how they saw it, but they 100% did. And jumping in on top of him, they stun him out. He has to use the burrow defensively. Gets on out, but the RP is up on Unicorn. Miggle whiffs his ultimate. Might have been backtracked once, but no. Bulba going in with that hook shot, securing the kill on the Queen of Pain. Unicorn dropping out TC quickly with that Infest. Nice play by him, but they have to fall back. Nice double stun by Miracle. Buybacks come through from the Queen of Pain. Jumping in for the Scream. Jumping in for that damage. Fluff falls off. Bulba gonna drop down 2, going for that TP, will not survive in time. Unicorn helping to clean up the Faceless Void. He does have Time Walk pretty soon, but it's not fast enough. With the Orchid, with the Burrow Strike, they clean it up and get effectively 5 kills on out of that. They kill the Magnus, he buys back in. They kill the Faceless Void twice, that's 6 kills. And they did commit a couple buybacks of their own. They committed the Queen of Pain, but that is well worth it for the team fight they were able to bring on out of that, despite some very, very clairvoyant initiation from Korok. I have no idea how he had full understanding of what was going on there, but he got the jump, he got the pickoff on the Sand King, but it wasn't enough. The teammates couldn't respond fast enough, and Sand King was able to burrow strike down the cliff away from the damage. And he was able to get a beautiful, beautiful double burrow, which made sure that the fight didn't go Liquid's way. Wow, that was definitely something. Absolute Legends showing how powerful this team fight potential they have can be, and I really think that they're still in this absolutely after that past team fight. I mean, really, Liquid was pulling them back to kind of an equalizer point, but they face this Void, despite being a late game carry. If they can't win the team fights, won't be able to accomplish much, and look at that experience swing. Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. That was just really nicely done by them, and yeah, they popped the Queen of Pain buyback, but they popped the buyback on the mid Magnus as well, so I think it's pretty much a null point between the two. Looks like Magnus is going to be looking for that BKB. A lot of damage to nullify there, and I think it's a pretty good pickup there. Now, one point to make is that I think the Rubik didn't really commit to get anything as far as... Wow, they're going to go for the skewer RP here. Continuing on Miggle. Not going to be able to put him in towards the allies. The Chrono does pop off. And one bash. And Burrow Strike to help him out, but it's too late. Clockwork with that rocket finishes it off. Miracle going to get locked down here with that skewer. Interesting vacuum play, but it's not going to really help him in that situation. 2-kill pickoff that they're going for more. Boba with that long range hook shot. Mania caught on in. Nice armor from the mech, but there's not too much follow-up. Telekinesis, Rise. Still not going for that spell steal just yet, but either way. Darkseer going to get dropped down. And that was really good hook shot. And plain and simple, he had the rocket on this fight over here, so there's no way that he had vision. He just went for a blind, locks him down, and just really good in that sense. Bulba getting that third kill, that third very key kill. I mean, the 2-kill pickoff was great, but it was based on TC with that invisibility. Now, following that up, they were able to get the Darkseer on top of that. Really solid. And the tier 2. Unicorn putting pressure up on the top lane here. Looking back at the last hits, we do see 125 for Unicorn, but he's kind of fallen behind comparing to that Void now that with that Battle Fury. Unicorn in an awkward spot, but I think he'll be in an okay position. Yeah, it's going to have TP on out. He does have a Reaver picked up, looking for presumably a harder Tarrasque, just a little bit more right-click damage, a little bit more HP to survive that RP. Because one thing to note is TC has been very happy to commit RP after RP after RP on the lifesteal. He just says, okay, if we get the polarity off on the one guy that's going to be immune to everything else, then we can just kill everybody else with standard disables, with the Jakiro, with the blinding light, and just the damage across. I think that's generally a good strat, but with this heart, it's not going to be nearly as viable. You have to worry about that Sand King Epi. He has rank 2. You have to worry about the Queen of Pain jumping in and out and dishing out that damage. Speaking of, trying to put some pressure out on Fluff, but he's going to fall back. Actually going to go onto Unicorn here, but Bulba in a bad spot. Does not have Force Staff up. Going to get caught out here. Too much damage coming on through. Bulba will drop. And now they're just going to walk away with a really nice offlane kill. Oh my gosh, Korok getting the ultimate up on Miracle. Going to finish him off, but now the big action coming in on TC. Committed that polarity, but instead it got stolen by Rise. Whiffed as well. So really nothing accomplished with either reverse polarity, and Korok will just be able to flee. Interesting action, but I gotta say, most of the big AoE initiation tools, not effective at all. I didn't see the first RP, but it didn't obviously net any kills or set up anything beyond that. And even the Faceless Void's Chronosphere, up from the high ground, kind of cheeky that he was able to DPS from that position, but the point is that he committed it to a solo Sand King just to make sure the Epi wouldn't come on out. And although that's great to make sure no more casualties were coming on through, they weren't able to go for more. And that was unfortunate for them. But yeah, I mentioned a couple of different things. The Blade Mail isn't effective against Lifesteal if he's raged. The Ghost Scepter, he didn't actually opt for. He instead goes for the Force Staff. Great item in that regard, in the sense that he can just put him in the cogs and jump right back on out, leaving him in his cage, as it were. But the one thing to mention is that if it's on cooldown, it's not going to help you in one little bit, and that's exactly what happened to Bulba there when he initiated onto the lifesteal. And now we do see more initiation going across. Unicorn in that cage. That's exactly what Bulba's been looking for. And now trying to put damage on into him. He's out of rage. 2 seconds left on the cooldown, but Miggle coming on in with low life. Gets right-clicked. One more right. The Urn's going to finish it off. Mania looking for initiation. No mana available. Will be dropped down instead. And Unicorn's going to be on the run. I think he will be able to get out. He's pretty quick on his feet, but at the loss of a lot of its allies here. Whew, that was interesting. That was very interesting movement from Absolute Legends. I don't think it was really well warranted, all things considered. It just was, I know they had the reverse polarity down. The Chronosphere was also on cooldown, but it just wasn't their time. It just wasn't the right engagement, and while they were looking for a small pickoff, Bulba, with those cogs, separating the battlefield, putting the lifestealer exactly where they wanted them, it forced Absolute Legends supports to move much further than they intended. Now, one thing I wanted to mention on for a while, we do see Smoke as they put pressure down on the bottom lane, but Fluff used that robe to go for a Veil. I'm curious to see if this is exactly, if it's going to be pay off. I haven't really seen it all that effective thus far, but if you put a Veil on a macro player inside an RP or a Chrono, you're going to get a lot of damage off, and it's a smooth move. It's interesting that he built it up that way. I couldn't have fathomed it when I first saw it, but it works. It definitely does. Alright, so not too much happening. Both of them just kind of forcing them off. The tower is not going to drop just yet, but it is brought down to 260 HP. Have to watch that. TC in a bad spot. No blink. Has to BKB if he wants to do anything here. And instead turns around to go in for the big initiation in mid, where Korok has already popped off that void. Oh, whiffs the ultimate. No blink, no ulti. Unicorn going to be able to infest on into a creep and try to walk away in a moment. He does indeed. Now this action is still... They're fighting illusions. They're not even fighting any real heroes. Miracle wants to send some damage that way. Beautiful, beautiful AoE. Oh, coming out with the epicenter with the Sonic Wave, but Miggle in a bad spot with Korok bashing away. Unicorn gives him something to fight. Head on, both of them together. No Sandstorm. He gets the bash proc. So, Korok in a bad spot now with that Orchid up. He can't... Oh, he gets a bash on Unicorn too. Bash Lord... Korok. Oh my gosh, that was something. The Geometry Sight was picked up by the Queen of Pain, so to the victor go the spoils, I suppose, as Miggle being the last woman standing in that scenario. Oh my gosh. That was very, very awkward. The Chronosphere was committed really early on. We watched TC kind of completely screw over that reverse polarity. Despite the BKB, he just couldn't close in on Unicorn and instead just hit on absolutely nothing. Now, luckily, Rubik didn't get it for himself, but I don't know, it was just back and forth, back and forth. One thing I gotta say really, really helped out Absolute Legends in that was a beautiful Darkseer wall. It was about this position here. He got multiple heroes in it. They were fighting illusions for a good, like, 4 or 5 seconds. And from there, that gave time, that distraction allowed Miracle to jump on in. Followed up with the epicenter with the blink, and they were perfectly timing that and the burrow strike with the damage from the Queen of Pain, who is level 18. She has that rank 3 Sonic Wave, used it to great effect, and burned down a lot of low HP supports quickly, so that in the end they were also able to clean up onto Korok. But a little bit of luck went Korok's way, and the turnaround aspect of it with those time locks. Those are 25% chance to proc. They do bonus damage in Chrono, but they still do a decent chunk on the outside of it, and from there, just lucked out enough to get 2 kills for himself, despite, I gotta say, a beautiful counter initiation by AL. Jumping on in, we do hear the Infest inside Miracle. That Epicenter, such a short cooldown, has it available in 10 seconds, but you can say the same about pretty much all of Liquid's ultis as well. So, what we're looking at here is we're kind of trying to see an opportunity for one team to get the jump on the other. We've been generally seeing that come on through from Liquid, but TC's ultimates haven't really been on point. His reverse polarities have kind of been just a little bit out of position. Sometimes hitting on one hero great, but a lot of times just not getting it at all. And just that little bit of unexpected damage right when you're trying to blink can be so frustrating, but it's something you have to micromanage if you're going to get these big plays off as he's looking for. Either way, that is also a little bit of fault on his part, but also great play by Miggle, keeping the pressure out despite him BKBing. He's like, okay, well, he's going to be immune to magic. I can't pop off the Orchid. The Orchid's already been expired. I can't slow him down. I'm just going to send out right clicks his way, and it worked out. Putting the Blink Dagger on cooldown set it up so Magnus couldn't really contribute the way he normally would. Now we do see on bottom lane, both actually pretty much a mirror match right here with these two teams moving in. The tier 2 being pressured by Korok, the tier 2 already fallen down in the bottom lane. So Korok's going to get a nice free tower kill out of this, and let's look at how the gold graph is kind of shaping up here. The team fights have been back and forth, but generally speaking, more kills on the board for TeamLiquid. The towers have now been pretty much evened up. Yeah, actually I think that's the tier 2 and mid is the only thing that keeps TeamLiquid ahead in that regard. But either way, and the final thing to mention is the farm, which has really been going away the way of Faceless Void recently. I mean, the TC has not been able to pick up. Oh, so close on the hook shot. Boba still finds the opportunity to pull him on in. Needs the Force Staff out, though, in a really bad spot. No Force Staff. Oh, every single time Boba doesn't have it. If you have it, don't use it. It's not good. But anyways, Unicorn gets pushed back by that blinding light so that he cannot finish the job on Boba, and it's enough distract and actually turn things around onto Darkseer, onto the Sand King in the bow spot. They get pulled on in, but it was a nice movement. Actually getting the steal. Rise gets that reverse polarity off and is able to get a big damage across, but Unicorn can't finish it alone. He is the only damage across the board, and despite a nice telekinesis, they're both going to drop down. I'm actually really curious exactly how the how the Darkseer and the Sand King came across. Oh, big damage from Queen of Pain. A little bit of overaggression from Miggle. He just wanted a kill, wanted a lot of kills, but instead only gets one. Keep Light doesn't get denied, but either way, it's definitely not worth his own death solo there. Either way, as I was trying to kind of give my synopsis of that, what happened off screen, that I do apologize for not catching on. I thought Bulba was going to drop, but the blinding light did peel him away for a moment. But what we actually didn't catch was Korok popping off a nice Chronosphere on both the Darkseer and the Sand King before either ability was popped. They didn't get a chance to use the mechanism, and from their Mania Miracle, got locked down before they could even commit to the team fight. So that was really nice for Korok and the follow-up there. And although Magnus's reverse polarity was again not the best, and Rubik actually did finally get the steal, Ryze's was after the entire team fight was over. Their epicenter is the thing they need to perfectly synergize with that, and with Mania unavailable, with Miracle unavailable, he just really couldn't do much more alongside that. So Unicorn couldn't do it by himself. Ended up trying, but of course to no avail, as he did get dropped down, and the Aegis the Immortal goes to the Faces Void once again. Butterfly up on Faces Void. That's going to set him up nicely as far as making sure that he's not taking too much damage from the Wall of Replica illusions, from the Lifestealer himself, and Queen of Pain herself does quite a bit of right-click damage, going for an Aghanims build, so not as much so, but it's still something to worry about. But when you combine these two things together, 35% evasion on top of that 25% backtrack, they're two different kinds of damage avoidance, and thus they actually will still work in conjunction with one another to a great effect if there's no MKBs coming on out, which it looks like Lifestealer is still just scrambling to finish up his heart. But once he gets that, he'll definitely move in for the MKB, but until now, and then, Korok is in a great spot with 16 HP to have so much ridiculous effective health. Again, 35% avoidance, and then on top of that 25%, goes for a solo chrono, jumps on Miggle, enough attack speed to almost get bashes to finish her off. Oh, needs just one more right click, but doesn't get it. Nice vacuum and mech. Coming out of Mania, peeling just barely. Unicorn getting bashed up hardcore, though, can't compete. 1-to-1. There goes that reverse polarity on top of a Wall of Replica, but with the BKBs out, the allies can't do anything. Oh my gosh, that infest. Mania pulls him out, plays the role of the armored car, and just zips on out of there. Looks like Ryze will be caught out of position, no TP chance whatsoever. But if Miracle gets on out, he does have that blink, he'll be fine. It does mean that they really pulled out of a terrible spot. The ulti committed by Korok, a sole ulti on the Queen of Pain, also popping off his BKB charge 7 seconds. TC pretty much doing the exact same thing. That means that they committed a lot to just a single Rubik kill in the end, because the Queen of Pain was saved by the mechanism, by the vacuum of the Darkseer, and then the Lifestealer was just barely able to invest on out. Now we see this potential, he misses once, he can't do the damage he needs to, instead just actually losing that exchange entirely, and here comes the tower kill. So now they're going to go for this big team fight without the Wall of Replica, but Miracle charging up that epicenter, he does get it off. Big damage coming on through, but Fluff already dropped off that Veil. Both of them dropping down quickly. Korok trying to finish off on Unicorn. Miggle is doing some damage on the back end. Nice Armo Toggle, needs one bash to finish this off though, and he just gets the kill in the end. Now Queen of Pain does drop down, plays a little bit of do-si-do, but just can't do too much more, and that is going to be it. They just won too many team fights. As you can see, it's just moving that direction, and with that Butterfly and the BKB up on Faceless Void to back up as far as HP value goes, and now going for a kind of troll refresher. It's in a position where Faceless Void could pretty much 1v4 as long as he's not too hardcore disabled, and the BKB helping out quite a bit with that. So it's just a smooth move by the entire team. They got Korok the farm he needed, ended up with over 600 GPM in a 38-minute game, and that's what I was saying. When we hit about 38-40 minutes, that's when Korok starts pulling far ahead of whatever the Lifestealer could possibly put out. If the Lifestealer had comparable farm, it'd be a different story, but sitting at only 360, Unicorn couldn't finish that heart, let alone move in for that MKB to really counteract that void. So, in the end, there's a couple different things to keep in mind here, but I gotta say, a lot of it comes down to the fact that Mania and Miracle didn't get all the initiations they need to. The fights that they got the initiation, the fight that they got the Wall of Replica Vacuum epicenters, they completely dominated, or at least came out on top. But most of that time, that didn't happen. And instead, we do see Game 1 of this Best of 3 series go the way of Team Liquid. So, nice action there. Thank you guys so much for tuning into that. And we'll go on into the next game in just a minute.